Development in Kelowna right now is dead. And I know what you're thinking, Mark, you idiot. Right behind you is a six-story building. There's six-story build and development happening all over the place in Kelowna. But watching in this video, there is a changing landscape and development right now isn't making a ton of sense. And we're gonna break it down and where the next biggest plays are. Because if you know it, you need to get ahead of the real estate market trends and things. Even though a lot of developments are happening, these all started about 2 or 3 years ago. So where are the plays being making right now? We're gonna break it down in this video and why some of these development plays aren't the best options. Hey everybody, it's Mark Coons with Selling Kelowna Real Estate Group. If you are looking to buy, sell, invest, or even develop in the Okanagan, pick up that phone, give me a call, and I'd love to help you out. Having relocated here 7 years ago, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people relocate to the Okanagan, and it's an absolute place I love to live.
All right, so why I'm considering development dead right now in the Okanagan, to first understand my thoughts and my thing is understanding how we got here. So when you're looking at the real estate market, what's happened in the last 5 years with development in the Okanagan is Bill 44 from the provincial government introduced a lot of more development properties available to the market, which you would think in terms of the market would be a good thing. However, that was taking the premium away from some of the other home sellers in already designated areas. Again, that is also supposed to bring down the home prices, but that only happened in 2024. Where we have to really go back to is the early 2021-2022 real estate market, where we saw roughly around 50% of the buyers in the Okanagan from outside the Okanagan. And these buyers oftentimes were buying up a lot of investment properties because at the end of the day, money was cheap and they were deploying their money and it was going a lot further at the time. But how have times really changed? Now we're in a market where you could previously sell a home that needed a ton of work, essentially the land value, sell it for top dollar. Now, same home sellers are struggling to target and get it below the assessed value. So there is a huge shift in the market in terms of demand for the purchased properties, but also for developments in their own. There was back in 2016, if you want to go as far back, the city of Kelowna started the whole development movement with changing the zoning on RU7 properties, which is now MF1 with a number of different zoning changes. There was, with the Bill 44, 26,000 lots that were rezoned and now available for higher density plays. So with the additional inventory, developers right now are holding back a little bit because we haven't seen the land prices really come down a great deal, even though there's a lot more supply out there on the market. And so that's all on the development side of play and getting the land before you go to development. And normally the lag between buying a property and getting it developed, you're going to be looking at anywhere from 2 to 5 years in time horizon. So what we have to really focus on and see, also project out going into the future. And what is the projection in the real estate market for when those homes are getting completed and how will they be absorbed? If you're going for a resale apartment, that means selling normally around 40% of your new development as a pre-sale. It's not only proof of concept and believe that there is a need for your type of housing that you're looking to provide into the marketplace, but it's also a requirement for the lenders to actually lend the money so you can actually get funds to be able to complete the build. And with the softening and the short-term rental restriction changes and a number of other governmental changes, there's more inventory on the market, especially when you're looking at the apartment side. With the more inventory on it, there is less likelihood that you can get those pre-sales. Well, developers are changing their game plan and they're going to purpose-built rentals. Right now, 75% of new developments, according to CMHC, are going to purpose-built rentals. So that is meaning further less and less homes for home buyers they're looking to get in the market. And this isn't going to have necessarily an immediate impact on the market, but the middle and longer term impact of having lack of new resale properties available on the marketplace is most likely going to create a strain on the market and increase prices in the longer term. But are prices coming down right now in the shorter term? Let's take a look. CMHC is telling me that new home prices that have been absorbed in the market, the average price point is coming down. If you look at 2024 versus 2025, you're seeing a change in the prices of $100,000. This is a substantial amount when you're looking at about, just under $1.6 million back in 2024, and now you're looking under $1.5 million. That's a huge change in the average market price. But I do have to ask this question because building costs haven't really come down a whole lot. And this is where the builders, and it's great to see prices come down, but costs haven't necessarily come down. So who's going to bear the brunt of all the changes in the marketplace, and who's going to take all these losses year over year? Well, the end of the day, people aren't naturally going to accept losses, and it's not a sustainable business model to provide a product and continuously take losses on their product. And so when we're looking at housing affordability versus housing supply, those are two different questions that we need to be looking at. Cost of building hasn't really come down, even though the brand new single family home prices has apparently come down 6%. According to CMHC, costs are going up still, and going up not only with inflation, but with the new tariff situation that we are finding ourselves in. We haven't even considered labor as a factor as well in what is factoring into these costs. But just for the city of Kelowna, development cost charges have increased 2.5%. Building costs are increasing because of energy code requirements. Come 2027, buildings are supposed to be 40% more efficient than what they were back in 2018. And come 2032, they're supposed to be 80% as more efficient than what it was back in 2018. So with the additional building codes, energy codes, and everything that the governments are throwing at builders right now, it is tough to make the numbers pencil out, let alone pen out. And so people in development, this is really going to be driving a lot of new development and forcing people on the sidelines. And I mean, I haven't even got into the big topic that was just released in February of this year, where Fortis has gone on record and starting to tell developers that they can't even provide power to their development come 2027 or 2028. So there is going to be a huge delay. And this huge delay already impacted with the holding costs and what we're seeing with the higher interest rates. So higher interest rates, longer hold periods is really going to make a lot of these other projects less and less desirable, because you're not guaranteed you're going to get power for a property. Why would you even start it? And why would you even want to start pulling the plug on it and getting the process started? So we are going to likely see a drop in supply in new housing coming on the market, not necessarily right away, because there's a lot of construction under the way, and there's still a few more in the pipeline that will be continued to come. However, looking more in the 2027, 2028 time horizons, we're going to start to see a huge slowdown, because there's a lot of land assemblies right now, and you can see it on the chart there, where since 2020, we have seen a number of different more listings. In the red in this chart here, you're going to see the number of active listings. And on the bottom there with the green mark, that is going to be the sales that you're seeing. The difference between active land assembly properties and sale land assembly properties, there is virtually none right now. There's only been one property that had been mentioned in a land assembly sale in the last 90 days. So will housing become more affordable in the future, even if we do get additional supply? Well, not likely. There's a number of reasons why it's not likely that we're going to see housing affordability, but it's going to start, and it starts at the government level in what they're providing for us. And the builders are only going to bear the brunt of and take the losses and take the headaches they're forced to take. And they are also taking on all the risk, because there's no guarantee their product and their properties will end up selling. And so they are taking on a lot of risk and putting at very much times their families' livelihoods at risk by taking on these developments. And so if they're not willing to take on the brunt of it, why would us expect to see more affordable housing? The builders essentially need to be incentivized. And that's the reason why development right now is dead, is because builders are not incentivized to build more product to provide for the housing. Yes, we're building a lot of properties for purpose-built rentals, which is great. We are building a lot of 6-story apartments, but the CMHC insurance and the beneficial land lending that is available for CMHC purpose-built rentals is changing as well. So there is an increasing need for more housing, and especially on the resale side. We haven't even started to get into the type of incentivizations builders have to build smaller units when we're talking about parking and variances that you'll often see at the city council meetings. And so we're not building enough properties to be able to provide enough housing for enough people that is going to be able to get absorbed into the marketplace. All right, so I'm not one to complain without coming to the table with some solutions. And this is not a knock on the government. It's not a knock on anybody. I just something that's deep in my heart that I believe builders and developers need to be more incentivized, and I got their back, and I see it every day in the real estate market right now, especially that they are bearing a lot of the stress that is involved in developing properties, trying to provide affordable things. And it's not that they're greedy, and they are very far from greedy. Most of them are, and they're putting their lives on the list and their family livelihood. And that is something that I greatly respect. But I'm not one to complain and not without providing solutions. So if you are looking at something, and maybe we're looking at developments, but maybe the current landscape isn't the greatest play for you right now based on maybe certain things that I discussed in it. Maybe it's your own personal field. So let me know in the comments if you have any other takes on what's happening right now in the development market. But before I get into it, please, let's be part of the solution. Let's help out. And if you do want to get these listings, I do have search criteria set up for you. So reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text message for these other properties for the alternative searches. And I'd love to help you out and get you doing something here and adding more housing to the Okanagan. All right, so what I would do instead of doing developments right now, starting from scratch, would be focusing on value add opportunities. And we're transitioning a couple home buyers right now in the marketplace and focusing on these value adds. Where do you add value to properties? It's essentially adding additional suites to it. There are government loans that are available as well and rebates that can be available, but we're just focusing on how can we create the most amount of cash flow per property. So it's really taking, like I say, a single family home and as adding a suite to it. If you want to take it to another level, look for a duplex property and see if you can add suites into the duplex properties. Another situation too would be taking a fourplex and seeing if you can make it into 6 or 8plex and just adding additional value adds. Maybe it's taking a single family home and adding a carriage house. There's a lot of different opportunities right now in the marketplace, and it's really what you want to take on. And you don't have to necessarily go big and buy it. You can also do it with your own principal residence as well. So there are different opportunities here. If you do, message me value. So just text it to me or message me value, and I'll give you the top 3 things to really look at. And I'll also include different properties that'll fit the criteria in terms of the value add opportunities. So right now, instead of developing land, we're adding value to the land and buildings that are already there. And by doing that, increasing the income on it, it's going to increase your sustainability and being able to ride out the cash flow situation and cover the mortgages, which is going to be less risk than if you were to do a development. All right, I'm Mark Kuntz here. And if you do have any questions, reach out, give me a call, whatever you need, I have your back.